What's happening, everybody? Welcome to another episode here, the Side Guys Football Forum. I'm one of your co-hosts over the side. Joined as always by my good friend, my good buddy, the other half of the Side Guys, Tad the Side. And Tad, coming here into Week 11, we only have about 7 weeks of the regular season left to go. This is where the NFL playoff picture is starting to shape up. We got Anthony Richardson back as the starting quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts.
Why are you saying that was the excitement?
Clearly, it's sort of speaking to the fact that, they want to see this guy go through the growing pains and let him, learn by trial through fire, as opposed to okay, we need to win now. It's like, no, let's forget that. Joe Flacco didn't seem to be the answer either in the couple games that he played. And so it's like, no, let's just stick with the plan. See if this guy can do anything better with his sort of benching and then now coming back. It's like if that could change things. So, like I said, I think it's a positive sign. I don't know what the results are going to be, but I think it's a positive sign.
No, it's not. This is not a 90s sitcom. This is not Growing Pains. Did I get that name right?
You did get the name.
Oh, how about that? R.I.P. Alan Thicke, by the way. But no. This is the wrong move, but we'll get into that later.
Okay, fair. But Tad, you know what is the right move? Partnering with our good friends at Underdog Fantasy, because there's a ton of things to be betting on right now. As of recording, it is Friday. You could bet on the Jake Paul Mike Tyson fight that is going to be on Netflix.
Is that for free, by the way? I gotta tune into that.
I have no idea whether it's free or not, but if it is free, then yeah, definitely go and check that out. You obviously got the NBA Emirates midseason cup going on right now. You got we already talked about the NFL season. We're coming close to the end of the regular season, but they do carry on into the playoffs. So you can still make bets with Underdog Fantasy with NFL playoff action as well. You got MMA, you got other boxing matches as well, guys. There's a ton of things you can be betting on. College football, women's college basketball, tons of things out there, guys. Get into the action with our good friends at Underdog Fantasy. So use our promo code that they gave to us. That promo code is DESAI, DESAI. Double up on your initial deposit of $10 or more, up to $500, courtesy of our good friends at Underdog Fantasy. So, if you were to put in that max amount, $500, and you use our promo code on that deposit, only your first deposit, you can bet with up to $1,000 on their betting platform. You can use the website, very easy to use. You can also use the apps both on Android and Apple devices. Very user-friendly, very easy to use there as well. So, guys, take advantage of the promo code. That promo code, once again, is DESAI, DESAI. Double up on your initial deposit of $10 or more, up to $500, courtesy of our good friends at Underdog Fantasy. Make yourself some money as we get closer to the holiday season here, so you can get yourself some good gifts for all your friends and family out there. So, Tad talked about it already, but Anthony Richardson will be the starter again here in Week 11. So as we get into Week 11, clearly by the tone of your voice, you're like, he's not a guy that I want starting in my lineup this week when it comes to fantasy football, but he could surprise you. We'll see exactly how it shapes out there. But Tad, as we get to our Week 11 starts and sits, who is a guy that you are starting or possibly sitting this week at the quarterback position?
You're wearing the hat. It's your boy, Brock Purdy.
I love this pick for sure.
Well, because it's insane. So here's the crazy thing is he's the 8th ranked fantasy quarterback, but do you want to guess what percentage of ESPN leagues is starting him?
Starting him. I'm going to say 67%. 60%.
I know. It's shocking. So that's why he was the easiest pick of this entire lineup. Fuck you for making me start a running back, by the way. We're going to get into that. But he was the easiest pick of this entire lineup because he's the 8th ranked fantasy quarterback. He's put up two consecutive, well, I guess not consecutive because you guys had the bye week in between, but he's put up two consecutive games, I should say, of 20 plus points in fantasy. And you look at the Seattle Seahawks, who you are playing this weekend, they've allowed over half the quarterbacks they face to score over 15 points. So you got a hot fantasy quarterback, both in terms of performance and looks. Hey,
really? Okay.
Really? You don't think Brock Purdy's good looking?
He's got that baby face look that I think could appeal to a lot of people. But I mean, I wouldn't say he's horrible looking, but yeah, he's a good looking guy, I guess.
Solid 7 out of 10.
I can see that.
Anyway.
Going down a weird rabbit hole here,
man. So he's not just hot 7 out of 10, but he's scored 20 plus points. Like I said, in his last 2 consecutive games, he's facing a Seattle defense that's allowed over half their opposing quarterbacks to score over 15 points. I like Brock Purdy to put up at least 16 to 20 points this week.
16 to 20 points.
16 to 20, yes.
Okay, not bad.
Which again, and we brought this up last week. I know that doesn't sound like a lot, like, oh, 16 points, thanks. This year's been rough for quarterbacks. So, 16 points from a quarterback, pretty good. And a perfect example of this is I traded away Jaden Daniels a couple of weeks ago, and people thought I was insane for that. Since then, he's only put up over 15 points once. So even a guy like Jaden Daniels, like it's been a rough year, fantasy speaking.
Well, I think the Jaden Daniels thing, you have to attribute that part of it to the rib injuries that he's suffering, because I think if he was fully healthy, he'd probably be doing a lot better.
But point being is finding a quarterback that can consistently score over 15 points for you, not that easy of an ask.
That's true. That's true. And yeah, the Brock Purdy thing is so crazy because I was watching the game last week between San Francisco and Tampa Bay, and Tom Brady was calling that game. And it was towards the end of the game. It was still obviously very close because the Niners had to, miss 3 field goals, and they finally had to get one at the very end there. But the biggest thing that actually was very accurate, what Tom Brady said, was that Brock Purdy had a very sneaky 350-yard passing game. And then I looked at the numbers. I was like, wow, I did not, because when you're watching the entire game, it did not look like he was as, on fire as somebody who threw for 350 yards in a game. It was just very much just like, like I said, very under the radar. And so I think that's exactly where you brought that up at the top of the segment here, where you're just like, he's the 8th best fantasy quarterback in PPR leagues right now. And the fact that, people are starting him in only 60% of leagues, that's sort of saying something there. That's just like a lot of people still think this guy is underrated, but I think the guy has the skills. And like you said, fantastic matchup playing against Seattle this week. So yeah, that is a smash start for sure.
Plus, I mean, we left out arguably the most important point of this entire thing is that McCaffrey's back. This offense is I know Ayuk's out, but this offense is the most back to the original state as possible. And yeah, I think with McCaffrey back, this offense is just gonna keep rolling, and I'm so happy he's on my team. We're both 49ers fans, buddy.
I'll take it.
Fuck the Seahawks.
All right, Chad, so you got to start at this week here, week 11. I'm going to go with the sit, and Kirk Cousins. I'm saying sit him against the Denver Broncos this week. So you sort of brought it up already, where it's like the quarterback position's been hard to trust a certain quarterback each and every single week in a fantasy season this week. But Cousins, I think, epitomizes that fact because, Tad, he's only scored 20 or more fantasy points in 2 games this season. And the worst part of that stat, too, both of those performances came against Tampa Bay only. So you did it against the same team twice to score 20 or more fantasy points.
Is their secondary that bad?
Or Kirk Cousins just has the magic remedy to solve Tampa Bay. But Tampa Bay, yes, their secondary is pretty bad. I mean, that's for sure too. Yeah. But just Cousins is averaging, Tad, in those 2 games, he was averaging 31.5 fantasy points per game. All other games outside the Tampa Bay games, 11.5.
Wait, he's averaging 11 points a game?
In all other games outside the 2 Tampa Bay Buccaneers games. So that's just speaking of the fact
that's insane. Really? Hold on. You keep talking. I gotta fact check you on that.
it's kind of surprising, but just like, yeah, he's only had successful games against Tampa. He's had some good games here and there against Dallas. He played pretty well too, but just overall, the overall average per numbers for every other team, fantasy numbers has not been all that great. Tampa Bay is the only one where he sort of found success here. Now they head into week 11 against Denver. They'll present, a very tough matchup for Kirk Cousins. Broncos have allowed only 12 passing touchdowns all the season so far, which is the 11th fewest in the NFL. You definitely have to throw a Pat Surtain into that sort of situation where it's going to be tough for Drake London to find some action. Darnell Mooney is fine, but he was listed earlier in the week dealing with an Achilles injury, so you wonder whether maybe that might flare up during the game. That will limit the passing options for Kirk Cousins and the Falcons' passing offense for sure in this game. But Denver's one of those teams that's like, Bo Nix is looking like a dude. He's looking like a guy
legit.
there.
He is legit good.
Based on all the other rookie quarterbacks that we've seen this season, maybe outside of Jay Daniels, Bo Nix may be in that conversation of being as of this season. Obviously, we have to wait to see about the long-term
Drake May's looking pretty solid.
Drake May's been looking pretty good too. But Bo Nix, I think a lot of people question it. He shouldn't have been, a top-level pick in the first round, but maybe landing with Sean Payton, that was the right move, and he sort of found his next guy that he could groom up. So we'll see exactly what happens there. But yeah, going back to Kirk Cousins, bad matchup. He has been very inconsistent outside those Tampa Bay games. So yeah, he's a sit for me this week.
All right, this is going to make for great audio, but you ready? I'm going to read through, at least in my league, the way I'm set up, which is, I feel like the standard. So 1 point for every 25 passing yards, 4 points for every passing touchdown. That's how my main league is set up. This is Kirk Cousins game by game. Week 1, 6 points. Week 2, 17 points. So not terrible. That's Philly. Week 3, 10 points. Week 4, 7. Week 5, 34. But like you pointed out, that was against Tampa Bay. Yep. Week 6, 12.5 points. Do you want to guess who they played in week 6?
Was it Carolina?
It was Carolina.
Yeah, that seems exactly why you would ask me that question.
Because, good God. Even worse, 6.9 points in week 7 against Seattle. 28 points against Tampa Bay.
Okay, once again.
16 points, but it was against Dallas. And at this point, we know Dallas is a fraud of a team. And then last week, 10 points flat against New Orleans. Holy shit. That is a literal roller coaster of a season. My God. Who do they play this week?
Denver?
Oh, yeah. Against Patrick Surtain? Yeah, no. Good sit. Dude, I'd rather start Bo Nix over him.
That could be an interesting play for sure. Could be a sneaky play for sure. Tad, let's get to the running backs now. Do you have a starter sit for me this week?
Well, I got to start because you forced me to, even though it was very hard. And by the way, actually, we're going to discuss your sit because he was actually almost a start for me.
Interesting. Okay.
I don't say that because I just traded for him today. But I had to pick a start. And look, he is underperformed, I think is the nice way of saying that, since coming back. But I think this is going to be his comeback game. I'm telling you, if you are a Nick Chubb manager, it's time to put him back in your starting lineup. Because, we thought the Browns were going to bring him along slowly. They really have not. He's had 31 carries over the last 2 games.
Yeah.
They have really just been like, toss him back in the, fires of Mordor and just like, hey, hopefully you can crack that ring. It's a wonder why you don't have a girlfriend. Anyway, point being is, he is getting a lot of volume, and I know he hasn't done a lot with it, but you look at who the Browns are playing this week. Do you know who they're playing this week?
Yeah, because I have a pick later, but they're playing New Orleans.
Oh, I missed that. But yes, you are correct. They are playing New Orleans, and not only has New Orleans allowed 6 straight rushing touchdowns in their last 6 games, but they've allowed multiple rushing touchdowns in their last 4 games. So that rushing defense is non-existent. So I actually do I think Nick Chubb is going to get, 100 yards and 2 touchdowns? No. But I think he could be good for like 50 and 2 touchdowns. I could see that being a realistic stat line there. So if you're, on the edge of like, do I start Nick Chubb? Do I not? I'm on the side of you start him.
Interesting play. I think, the New Orleans defense overall, just the whole team, they're going with the new interim coach. I think you look at last week, that's sort of like a, let's play for the new interim coach. Everything sort of, high spirits, losing Dennis Allen, all that stuff. But it's like now it's like things may sort of come back to reality here. And we'll start to experience the same Saints team that experienced pretty much all season long. So it's like I can see them sort of crashing back down to earth, and they may not play at such a high level. So this could be a very good situation for Nick Chubb to sort of reestablish himself in the Browns offense and have himself a good game when it comes to fantasy purposes, as well as in that game as well. So I can see that happening. But I do agree with you. I don't see him going for over 100 rushing yards. I can see him getting pretty close to that. But I definitely, if they get close enough, like into the red zone, he could find himself with 2 rushing touchdowns. So I can see that very much happening.
He's going to go from half Chubb to full Chubb.
Could happen. I'm going to stick with the AFC North here, Tad, but I'm going to go with a sit, and I'm going to go with Najee Harris versus the Baltimore Ravens.
Just traded for him like 3 hours ago.
Now, and I understand why you traded for him, Tad, because over the last couple of weeks, Harris has actually been playing very, very well. A guy that you historically have hated when it comes to fantasy football.
I have. Yep.
You have been very adamant to the fact that Najee Harris is not a good running back as well as a fantasy running back. But Tad, if you look at the last couple of weeks, he has scored a rushing touchdown in 3 of his last 4 games. He's also rushed for over 100 yards in 3 of his last 4 games. So, I mean, he's been putting up solid numbers. The matchup that he has this week, Baltimore has allowed the second fewest rushing yards to running backs in the NFL, allowing just 3.2 yards per carry. Baltimore is more susceptible to the air, Tad. They have the league's worst. This is so surprising to hear. They have the league's worst passing defense right now. They've allowed the most passing yards and the most passing touchdowns. So
I knew their secondary sucked. I didn't realize it sucked that bad.
Yeah, no, they are horrendous. Now, maybe you can attribute some of that to Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase totally going off of them last week. But still, like, to be that bad, that is not something that you associate with Baltimore's defense specifically. So, I think we should see in this game, specifically for the Steelers' game plan, I think they're going to put the ball in the hands of Russell Wilson, and he's going to beat them to the air. So I'm not saying that Najee Harris is not going to get involved in the run game, but I think because they're more susceptible through the air, we will see more of a passing attack from the Pittsburgh Steelers. And so that's where I see this game plan sort of going. But overall, I've talked about this so many times already, but divisional matchups are always so hard to predict. So this could be a very low-scoring game. It could be a very high-scoring game because, like I said, we just had that with Baltimore and Cincinnati last week. So I don't know how this is going to go, but just either way, I just do not like the matchup of Najee Harris against a strong run defense. I see them going through the air more, so that's why it's a sit for me this week.
The reason I traded for Najee Harris, and I'll tell you who I gave up for him, was Chuba Hubbard. So it was a gamble. I also got Calvin Ridley, though, which, oh my God, Calvin Ridley, ever since that D-Hop trade, woo, he's been lighting it up. But the reason I did is because of the volume. You look at the last 2 games that Najee Harris has had, he's had 40 carries in the last 2 games. And because you are 100% correct. And I am still, despite him being on my team, I am still a believer that Najee Harris sucks. He is not a good running back. But you give any running back worth his salt 20 carries a game, he's going to do something. And so I'm essentially gambling. And the reason I pulled off that trade, by the way, is because I'm like on the verge of like if I lose, the next 2 games, I'm out of the playoff race. So I need to win now. And Chuba Hubbard was on a bye week. So that's why, Hubbard, you're off to my friends. There you go. Have fun. Najee, I need you this week. That's the whole reason I did this. But point being is, I'm essentially gambling on him scoring a touchdown because I completely 100% agree with you. I'm not expecting him to top 50 yards. I'd be shocked if he did so. Pleasantly shocked, but shocked. I'm essentially hoping that the Steelers get inside the 5 and run it in with Najee. Now, another thing to note as well is Jaylen Warren has only logged 1 healthy practice all week, and it was today, Friday, as of recording. I know we're not supposed to give the day away, but spoiler alert. Is that a spoiler alert? I guess no.
Whatever. I already said it earlier because of the Tyson Paul fight. So
yeah, that's a good point. Anyway, point being is today was the first day Jaylen Warren practiced all week. So even if he does play, even if he does suit up, I don't see Jaylen Warren being much of a vulture as he usually is with Najee Harris. So while I agree it's a risky start, I actually like Najee Harris as a start, not a sit.
That's interesting because it's actually funny that you bring up Jaylen Warren. I do agree that him only practicing as of today is sort of a sign that's like maybe he'll be limited. But if they go with more of a pass first game plan, that plays more into Jaylen Warren's strengths compared to Najee Harris. So I could see them leaning more on Jaylen Warren compared to Najee Harris. But yeah, I think either way, it's sort of not the greatest matchup to go with the Steelers running back this week against Baltimore. But
I mean, yeah, you're living on a hope and a prayer at that point. But
exactly,
it was for me. It was either trade away Chuba Hubbard or prey on Rico Dowdle doing something.
Yeah,
that's why I traded for Najee.
That's fair. So Tad already talked about that. I think Pittsburgh may go with more of an aerial attack against Baltimore. So let's go to the receiver position here. Do you have a start or sit for me this week here in week 11?
First off, you were killing it with the transition game tonight. Well done.
I try what I can. Man.
Yeah, no, I meant to tell you, but the underdog transition was like chef's kiss. Anyway, yeah, I got to sit for you. It's an easy sit. Josh Downs.
What? Yeah, I feel like it's a layup one there for sure.
Mm-hmm. You want to know why?
Is it because of Anthony Richardson?
Because Anthony Richardson's back.
That's the whole reason.
That's the only analysis. Seriously, that's the only analysis I have. That's the only note I have. Anthony Richardson's back. Just bench everybody. Fuck.
Wow. Yeah. No, it's tough to trust any Colts receiver. I think, yeah, with the switch to Anthony Richardson, I think we need to see whether he could sort of like.
We don't need to see anything else. He's terrible.
Okay. Like I said, maybe is something that, he experienced.
You mean I'm supposed to throw it to the guys in blue? Yes, you are, Anthony. You fucking idiot. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Did that exhaust him? Does he need to take a little breather? I'm so sorry. You go take a break.
That was a bad look. Yeah, that was definitely a bad look for sure.
Have a take 5.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, I think just maybe the hope is that, he sat for a couple of games. He, experienced more for the sidelines. Maybe he picked up a few things there. So it's like, maybe he'll sort of turn things around. That's the hope there. But yeah, I think in the immediacy, it's really tough to trust a Colts wide receiver or, they don't really have a solid one, but it's hard to trust the Colts tight ends as well. But just, we really need to see what we can, what he could sort of turn around before we could trust this Colts passing offense specifically. Because I feel like Jonathan Taylor may be the only guy we could trust in the Colts offense right now.
Can't even trust him. He hasn't top 15 fantasy points in about 3 weeks, I think.
Yeah, so that's even a tough one too. So maybe I think the Colts offense of its entirety is tough to trust when it comes to fantasy purposes.
Now, I will say this though, is because I did trade Jonathan Taylor off my team 2 weeks ago. And that was a tough move, and I really did. And that's another reason why I'm very upset with the Colts right now is because the running game does work better with Anthony Richardson in it. So I honestly believed, because I'm an idiot, I keep believing that Chris Ballard's going to do the right thing. I honestly believe that Joe Flacco is going to be our starter for the rest of the year. And that run game did not work nearly as well with Joe Flacco.
Right.
Because with that extra, X factor of Anthony Richardson, despite being a goddamn horrible passer, to his credit, is a good runner. I will give it that is the only credit I will give him. So I actually like JT's fantasy value looking up moving forward as long as Richardson is the starter, which is another reason I'm angry, because if I'd known that a week later he'd be named the starter, I never would have gotten rid of JT. I hate them. I hate why do I do this to myself? Every year I do this to myself. And it's just, and don't come to me with all your whining and moaning and bitching of like, oh, we've lost 3 Super Bowls. At least you've been to a Super Bowl in the last decade.
Yeah, that is true. That is very, very true.
I hate you. I don't hate you. I hate Chris Ballard.
I'm going to go with the start at the wide receiver position here. It's kind of a surprising name. Cedric Tillman versus the New Orleans Saints here is a start for me this week.
No, I like that start a lot.
Jameis Winston returns to New Orleans, a team that he signed with after he left Tampa Bay.
Game. I didn't even think of
that. I can see him being a little bit more aggressive in this game specifically. Also, you have to look at the fact that I think the Saints defense, you already talked about it earlier. It's like, I think they're very much, I don't think they're going to be all that great. They traded Marshawn Lattimore a couple of weeks ago, so I think that's already a hit to their passing defense. So I could see them sort of taking advantage of that. And just Tillman seems to have found chemistry with Jameis Winston. I sort of brought this up before. When you bring in a backup quarterback, who do they practice with more in practice time? They practice with the second and third wide receivers. So I have a feeling that Winston practiced more with Cedric Tillman and was able to build that chemistry compared to a Jerry Jeudy, or when they had him, Amari Cooper as well. So it's like, I think that's why Winston and Tillman are forming more of a connection compared to Winston and Jeudy. David Njoku is also a very good start as well. But just, I think Tillman is a very good start this week. He has scored 18 fantasy points in 3 straight games now. All have been in games where Winston has come into the game or he has started. So, I mean, clearly, like I said, they have established a connection there. That is something that they're going to keep on hitting on. The New Orleans defense has allowed the 8th most fantasy points per game to opposing wide receivers. So they are very susceptible to the air as well. So, Cedric Tillman, maybe a guy that's not on a lot of people's radar, but I think he should be because, with the connection with Jameis Winston, he's a guy that maybe could give you a late push as you get to the fantasy playoffs here. But 100% for this week, Tillman's a great start.
You want to hear all-time worst fantasy trade? I think I've already revealed this on the show, but I'll do it again.
Sure, let's hear it.
I traded David Njoku, so I had him. I traded him for Christian Kirk.
Yeah, but I think at the time that was when Deshaun Watson was healthy, right?
Exactly. So I was exactly. It was the week before Deshaun Watson got hurt too, and it was like, damn it, because now Jameis is essentially following like Baker Mayfield's footsteps here. He is on a full-on redemption tour because this Browns offense is good, and that Saints defense is bad. So and Cedric Tillman, and it's actually too funny you should say this because literally, I don't know, 20, 30 minutes before we start recording, I picked after the Najee Harris trade, I had an open bench spot. Do you want to know who I picked up? Not Cedric Tillman because he wasn't available.
Okay.
But the guy lining up on the opposite side, Jerry Jeudy.
Oh, you picked up Jerry Jeudy, yeah.
Because Jerry Judy's put up at least in a half PPR leagues. He's put up 10-point games in the last 2 games. This offense is finally a functional offense, and now is the time to capitalize because people are going to start catching on. It's the same reason why I say start Nick Chubb, because I think, again, against a porous, I think is the best word for it, a porous New Orleans defense, I really, really think like it. I need to check the spread on that game because I think Cleveland's going to blow them out.
Really? Okay.
I think so.
We will see about that. But I think definitely Tillman should have a good game. Jeudy, I wouldn't be surprised if he has a good game as well. But also be obviously if you're a fantasy manager of Jameis Winston, if you're starting him this week, just know that he is prone to throw interceptions as well. So sort of take the good with the bad there with Jameis Winston for sure.
Cleveland's the underdog. They're plus 2.5. That's a good bet. I'd take that bet.
You take that bet. Okay.
I'd take that bet.
Okay. Very interesting.
Over under 44. That's tougher.
That's a tougher one.
That one's, I don't know. Under.
All right, Taz, we're talking about David Njoku. Let's get to the tight end position here in week 11. Do you got to start or sit for me at the position?
I got both. And here's, I know I didn't tell you about this, but here's why is because, I don't know if you saw the news today, but, Dalton Kincaid confirmed out.
Yeah, we talked about that in our Wire episode earlier the week that he made this week. So
he is confirmed out. And the reason I wanted to do both is because this is what I did with my team, because Kincaid was my starter. I handcuffed. So Dawson Knox, very good start for this week. I think Dawson Knox, and he's available in 95% of ESPN leagues.
Yeah.
So I think Dawson Knox is that sneaky good pickup that you could do, even though, get this, I almost started Zach Ertz last night. I bitched out.
That would have been a good move.
So mad. 15 points in my league. But anyway, point being is Dawson Knox, if you are in need of a tight end, I like him as a start. This person I like even more as a sit. Because good God, this team is just a dumpster fire of a team. I'm shocked their coach is still employed. you got to sit Evan Ingram.
And
I know what people are saying, like, oh, he hasn't been doing too badly, and he hasn't. He's put up, over 5 points, which again, for me, that's my benchmark with a tight end. Just give me 5 or above. Just do that for me. And he's done that in the last 3 games. However, you look at who they're playing. Do you know who Jacksonville's playing this week?
It's so funny because I had the same pick for the tight end position, so they're playing Detroit.
Oh, there you go. Yes, absolutely. Arguably the hottest team in football right now.
Yeah, easy to say.
Do you want to guess how many touchdowns Evan Ingram has scored so far this year?
I don't think he scored. No, probably 1. I think he scored 1.
1.
I remember because I was watching Red Zone too, and he made an amazing catch in like triple coverage. Yeah. So yeah, he has scored 1. Yeah.
Do you want to guess how many touchdowns the Lions have allowed a tight end to score this year?
I want to say 0.
1. Do you want to guess who that tight end was?
No idea.
I was about to say, if you get it, I'll be shocked. I'll give you a hint. He's a Seattle Seahawk.
Is it Disley?
It was AJ Barner. The rookie
out of Michigan. Yeah.
Michigan, you're right.
Yeah, never would have guessed that.
Only tight end to score against the Lions. That's going to be a trivia question one day. Point being is, so you got a defense that's very good against the tight end. You got a tight end that's not scoring a lot of touchdowns and consistently relies then on getting a lot of yards and a lot of receptions. And with Mac Jones confirmed as a starter going against them, oh my God. I mean, I think maybe this will be my underdog bet. Brian Branch over under 2 interceptions. Because Mac Jones is bad. He's not good. The only touchdown he scored last week was, on a half-yard, I guess, scramble, if you could call it that, but on a half-yard sneak. So bottom line being is I don't think Evan Ingram is going to have a very good week this week, and I know it's the name that's tempting, but I would say keep him on your bench.
I think the key for me is that second part where you said Mac Jones is the confirmed starter. I think that's the thing that sort of hinders any sort of fantasy hopefulness.
Yeah, if Trevor Lawrence was in,
or anybody else on the roster.
Start, but that was this deal sealer, I guess, deal breaker. That's usually a more normal one. I think that was the deal breaker as well. It's just like as soon as I saw that O next to Trevor Lawrence, I was like, well, they're all on my bench.
Yeah, no, I think that's a safe call because, like I said, I just think Mac Jones is definitely going to limit this offense. And because of that, it's going to limit the running game because the defense will be able to focus on that. So overall, all Jacksonville players this week in fantasy, probably not a good idea to start them. Yeah. I really just don't think so.
Part of that Najee Harris trade, I trade away Travis Etienne.
There you go. Not bad. So, Tad, I talked about I have the same game, but I have a start this week. It actually may be a little bit surprising, but I'm going with Brock Wright. Start him as a tight end versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. So, Sam LaPorta is confirmed out for this week.
Oh!
He's not going to be playing this week. So, this is very much a gamble, though, because I think they have Amon-Ra St. Brown. They have Jameson Williams. They obviously have a strong running game with David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs. But I have a feeling there's going to be a play where Brock Wright is going to find himself wide open in the end zone. Jared Goff is going to hit him. So he is going to score a fluke touchdown where it's like if you need to start a tight end in a time where it's like tight ends are so, hard to rely on, but it's like, I think this is a week. It's very much a gut feeling. I don't have strong analysis for this, but just I have a very big gut feeling that it's like against Jacksonville, Brock Wright could find himself being open, especially as a guy that maybe they won't take into serious account with Sam LaPorta being out. And that's the reason as to why I could see him sort of getting a touchdown there. In 5 of the last 6 games, Jacksonville has given up double-digit fantasy points to opposing tight ends as well. Overall, I don't see this Jacksonville defense stopping the Lions on any sort of offensive sort of, plays that they want to, execute. So just overall, it's a good matchup for all Lions players. And like I said, as a sneaky play, I think because he's going to score a touchdown, like I said, he's very touchdown dependent. Brock Wright could be a good start this week.
I hate you. So, okay. All right. We're going to do this live on air.
Okay.
Do I go Brock Wright or do I go with Dawson Knox then?
I'd probably
trust Knox. Yeah, because Knox at least has like the familiarity and everything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. Wright's an interesting choice, though.
Like I said, for me, it's more of a gut feeling. I have a lot more.
Yeah, no, but that's a good gut feeling, though. Like that's, that has some merit behind it.
Yeah. And there have been times, like even when Sam LaPorta has been healthy, this goes back to last year as well, where it's like for some reason Brock Wright just found his way to get open, and he had better games at the position than Sam LaPorta did. So it's like he is involved in the offense, and he does have good chemistry with Jared Goff as well. So it's like that's why I'm sort of leaning more towards this gut feeling possibly panning out for me. But like I said, it is still. There's not a lot of evidence behind it. Like I said, I just more the fact that it's like the matchup plays to his favor as well. So that's why I could see Brock Wright scoring a touchdown this week, which will make him a very good start for you if you're in need of a tight end. Because Tad, we do have, I forgot to bring this up earlier, but we do have, as a reminder, 4 teams on a bye week. We have the Arizona Cardinals. So if you have Trey McBride, you probably need a tight end this week. Carolina Panthers, if you're starting a tight end with Carolina, you probably have bigger issues than your tight end position right now.
Tremble, is he their starter?
No, Jatavion Sanders, the rookie out of Texas.
Oh.
Right now. So he was a guy that I like going out of the draft process too. So it's like I like him.
They still have Tremble?
They still have Trimble, but I don't think they use him very much.
Yeah, they don't use anyone very much.
The New York Giants are a bye week. I don't know. Theo Johnson, I guess. Daniel Bellinger, if you're using any of those guys. Probably that's right there. Yeah. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, so Cade Otton, if you need a replacement for him, then it's like these are guys that possibly could be out there.
I was about to say O.J. Howard.
O.J. Howard, yeah. Wow. He absolutely crashed and burned, man. That guy did absolutely nothing. He did nothing.
Man. That was a whiff. Was he a first-round pick?
I think he was a second-round pick. I don't think he was a
please let me a first-round pick. I'm on it.
But I think the crazier thing, too, is that you have to remember O.J. Howard was still on the team when the Buccaneers signed Tom Brady. And so I remember everybody that year was talking about like, oh my God, O.J. Howard is finally going to merge. He's going to be the guy that everybody saw when he was at Alabama. He's going to be that solid guy, and he sucked. And that's part of the reason why they had to bring Rob Gronkowski out of retirement, because it was like, no, this guy is terrible. We need to get an actual proven tight end.
O.J. Howard, 19th overall pick of the 2017 NFL draft.
He was a first-round pick. Wow, that is
two more tight ends winning that. Two more tight ends winning that first round after him. Do you want to guess who they were?
I do not remember this draft.
We both brought them up. It's Evan Ingram and David Njoku were drafted after O.J. Howard.
That's why the draft is just such a hard thing to predict, because it's like, yeah, I mean,
that's why people get on me of like, you said Kyle Trask is going to be good. I was like, yeah, I did. I got wrong. Like, people get shit wrong.
Yeah. Because, I mean, you look at what he was doing at Alabama, it's like, it makes sense. This guy is going to be something he's going to be a big producer at the NFL level, but just, yeah, for some reason, it just never came together. And yeah, God, it was awful. Well,
one thing can be guaranteed, he's not going to do much on Sunday.
Yeah, it is for sure. All right, Tad, let's get to the defenses and the kickers. What do you got for me as far as starts or sits for either position?
So I'm cheating a bit because I think he was also my start last week, but I'm going to do it again because his numbers have not gone up that much. I'm saying start Tyler Bass as a kicker because right now, last week he was, I think, like the 8th or 9th ranked kicker, something around that. He is now ranked as the 5th fantasy kicker. However, he is available in 57% of ESPN leagues.
That is interesting.
What is happening? I've never seen, I know it's a kicker, but a top 5 player being available in more than 50% of leagues, that's crazy. So yeah, top 5 kicker. You got Buffalo versus Kansas City. That's who they're playing, the Kansas City Chiefs, which screams shootout to me. He has scored double-digit points in his last 2 games. I like Tyler Bass as a kicker to pick up and start immediately.
All right. And what about defense?
So I've got a sit for you.
Okay.
You ready for this?
Sure.
Yeah. All right. Good. I'm glad you're ready. Sit the Colts defense. Do you want to know why?
Well, that seems like an easy sit.
Because we're starting Anthony Richardson.
Honestly, Ted, even if you weren't starting Anthony Richardson, like, I don't know if I trust the Colts defense.
I don't trust anything with that organization. I don't trust anything with that team. I don't trust the goddamn janitors cleaning the locker room properly. They're just a bunch of fucking idiots that don't. I don't care if it's cold. Don't start a quarterback that throws it to the other team. Anyway, the actual analysis is the Colts defense has had 5 points or fewer in over half their games this season. The Jets, while underperforming, still have a talented offense, and Anthony Richardson's back. Who you got?
Like I said, that was a pretty easy one. Because like I said, even if Anthony Richardson wasn't starting for them, and they're still going with Joe Flacco, even if they had Peyton Manning, like I still don't like this Colts defense. Like they still have
We can't stop shit. That's
exactly.
That secondary has more holes than Swiss cheese.
Yeah, it's not a good defense for sure. But yeah, adding Anthony Richardson to that sort of definitely makes it a lot worse of a start. If you're starting the Colts defense for some reason, you're playing in some sort of weird league where it's like you need to start weird defenses, or it's like all other defenses are taken, but just like, yeah, this is not good. Don't do it at all.
I'll give you DeForest Buckner for a second round pick.
Trade deadline has passed, my buddy.
Damn
It's not gonna happen anymore. All right, Ted, at the defensive position, I'm going to go and start the Green Bay Packers versus the Chicago Bears. Man, Ted, he had a good couple of weeks, but he has been on an absolute cold streak. Caleb Williams, over the last 3 weeks, he has scored lower than double-digit fantasy points in every single game. Green Bay is currently allowing 14.89 fantasy points to opposing quarterbacks, one of the best in the league right now. Tough divisional matchup, but like I said, the Bears right now with Caleb Williams playing so poorly right now, I don't know how much hope I have for them to do anything offensively against a very tough Packers defense. So yeah, this is a automatic, I think, good start for the Packers defense, bad for the Bears offense for sure. And at the kicker position, I may be surprised by this one, but Evan McPherson, I'm saying sit him against the Los Angeles Chargers. He has scored 5 or fewer points in 5 of his last 6 games against a very tough Chargers defense. I think we may see the Cincinnati Bengals struggle to move the ball against them. Los Angeles has not allowed a kicker to score more than 7 points against them all season long. So, I mean, they've been very tough against offenses for them to get kickers in position to even kick field goals. So, I mean, this Chargers defense is legit right now. Even with the Bengals offense sort of coming into sort of their play now, they're playing very well based on what we saw last week, the last couple of weeks as well. I still don't know how I feel against this Chargers defense. It is on primetime on Sunday night, but just like a little worried about it. I can see this being possibly a shootout where it's like we got a lot of touchdowns, but maybe a lot of field goals by Evan McPherson. So either way, Evan McPherson, I do not like him as a start this week.
Hasn't he also missed like 3 50-plus yard field goals?
Yeah, he has been very inconsistent.
It's been him and Tucker, weirdly, and Justin Tucker, by the way. What the hell is going on with him? No, I like that. And yeah, no, like I said on Monday's episode, I guess Tuesday, because that's when it dropped. But Tuesday's episode is, I was watching the Bears game with my friend Matt, who is a Bears fan, and yeah, he would not shut up about how much he was very upset, actually. He was saying at the end of the day, he was like, Eberflus will be fired by the end of Monday. And it was like, okay. And it turns out Eberflus wasn't fired, but their OC and I believe their DC too, right? They fired their OC was definitely fired.
Yes. Shane Waldron was fired. I remember that for sure.
But I don't bottom know line being, yeah, maybe. But bottom line being, this Bears offense, and by the way, no fault of Caleb Williams. I think Caleb Williams will end up being a very good quarterback in the NFL. Good God, get that man an offensive line. Especially, let me tell you, I grew up with Mark Bulger. Do not Mark Bulger that man. Fucking Jason Smith. Who's the guy we drafted out of Auburn?
I do not remember.
All right, I'll look it up while you wrap it up. Greg Robinson. I didn't even know.
Greg Robinson. Yeah, he was not good either.
Greg Robinson. Fucking Jason Smith. Richie Incognito. God damn it.
Incognito had some flashes.
Incognito was terrible. Shut up. He cost us like 3 games.
Okay. 3 games compared to Jason Smith. I mean, that's even a lot worse, though.
You said Orlando Pace.
You did at one point. All right, guys. So that will close out our start sit episodes here in week 11. But I mean, we can't get to everything that we want to in a given episode. So this is where you need to hit us up on our social media handles. You hit us up. You got me on Twitter. You got Decide23. You got Decide94. Got the show handle at The Decide Guys. And, of course, on Instagram at The Decide Guys as well. That is where you can get personalized advice for your specific fantasy football league. good friend of the program, Jay. He's been hitting us up with trade offers, like what he's trying to do in his league. He's been messaging our account pretty much all day, every day this week. And so, yeah, that's the way that you can start to interact with us and get personalized advice, like I said, so specific for your league. So whether you're playing, in a, elimination league, or whether you're playing in an IDP league, or whether you're playing in a vampire league, or just whatever it is, whatever your league setting is, we are there to help you because we want to help you win as many fantasy championships as you can, take home as many fantasy titles as we can. This is where we can help you with, start sit advice. And, if your trade deadline has an approach, we can help you with trade advice, waiver wire help. I mean, just anything and everything, guys. That is the best way that you can get the advice that you're needing, because we can't cover everything that we can't want to in a given episode. Make sure you subscribe wherever you listen to the podcast. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. And please, guys, make sure you're supporting our parent network at LAFB Network, because they're giving you a lot of great content when it comes to the Rams and the Chargers at the professional level, and the Bruins and the Trojans when it comes to college football level. But it's not just football anymore, Tad. We got you covered when it comes to more LA sports. We got the baseball coverage coming pretty soon once we get closer to the training camp, spring training and all that happening at the beginning of 2025. So we got your Angels coverage as well as your Dodgers coverage. And we got you covered right now with basketball coverage as well, with Lakers coverage as well as Clippers coverage. So, I mean, it's not just LA football anymore. We got you covered with all the major LA sports out there. Pretty soon, I bet you we'll have LA Kings coverage as well. So, I mean, don't be surprised if we have that as well. But guys, without them, there would be no us. That is the biggest thing. So make sure you're supporting everybody there. Lots of great content coming from a lot of great content producers. But to everybody who's already subscribed to our podcast, who's watching our videos, who's interacting with us on social media, I mean, just anything and everything that you're doing to support the podcast, we cannot thank you enough.
The 2014 Rams starting lineup on offense. Are you ready for this?
I guess so.
And keep in mind, this is the St. Louis Rams.
Sure.
Austin Davis.
Quarterback, right?
Yep, quarterback.
Okay.
Corey Harkey.
Wow.
Trey Mason.
Trey Mason, he has some flashes.
Tavon Austin.
Yeah, he didn't pan out.
Kenny Britt.
Kenny Britt, there him.
Lance Kendricks.
Oh, man, I had such high hopes for Lance Kendricks. He never amounted to anything, though.
Now we're getting to the offensive line. Greg Robinson.
Yeah.
Roger Saffold.
Mm-hmm.
Scott Wells.
Okay.
Davin Joseph. And Joe Barksdale.
Yeah.
Yet it's our fault for not going to the games. That's why you moved. Okay. Yeah, because I get paid $200 to go see that team. Fuckers.
So really $200 at that time?
Oh my God, they were so expensive.
Wow.
Because no, that's why the whole that's the myth of the whole thing. Well, St. Louis fans didn't show up. No, they boosted up the prices so no one would show up, and then they started Austin Davis at quarterback. But no, St. Louis fans are terrible. That's why the Battlehawks are the highest selling XFL team. Idiots. I'm not bitter. Definitely didn't burn a t-shirt over it. Anyway, if you want to hear great LA Rams coverage, check out with that for a transition.
Yes.
Check out LA Podfidential, hosted by a good friend of the show, Chauncey Talese. He does excellent Rams, Chargers, and just general football coverage on top of great pop culture stuff. I know there's been a lot of news with D23 down in Brazil, even though Robert refuses to check out the trailers because I really want to talk about them, but he doesn't watch trailers for some reason. So if you are like me and you want, someone's thoughts, someone's reaction to it, LA Podfidential, you can check it out on all the same platforms we are on. And also, if you are a USC fan, even if you're a UCLA fan, because let's be honest, USC's not doing too great right now. So if you want to link up some of those USC tiers like Eric Cartman, check out Salute to Troy, hosted by, I guess, friend of the show, Al Rowe.
He's my friend. I don't know about yours, though.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair. My friend of me. He's my friend.
There you go.
My friend of me, Al Rowe. But no, in all seriousness, he really does know his stuff. He gives excellent analysis, and we always love having him on the podcast, especially during the draft, where he can give we can give the analysis of this is how he looks. Al gives you the X's and O's. He really gives you the ins and outs of the game. So be sure to check him out. Once again, at Salute to Detroit podcast. They also go live every Sunday morning. So be sure to check that out as well. Very responsive to comments. So if you have a question, send one in. But as always, everyone, thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching. And please stay safe, everyone.